Hello and welcome everyone to the 22nd video lecture of Marketing Research Semester 5 Module number 3. In today's video lecture we shall be discussing about advantages and disadvantages of questionnaire design. So in a previous video lecture we had discussed about uh, the steps involved in questionnaire design. In today's video lecture we shall be discussing about the advantages, that is merits of using questionnaire, as well as the demerits, that is disadvantages of using questionnaire. So let us begin. Now, advantages of using questionnaire. The first advantage that is quite obvious is that it is quite practical. Now what do you mean by this? It can be used very easily. First one, it can be administered very easily, so that is why it becomes very practical. It can be used by people who are very far away from the researcher also, that is you can post them or email them also many times, so you can get replies from the respondents. So that is why it becomes very practical in many situations. The second one that is that large amount of information can be collected from a large amount of people in a short period and in a relatively cost effective way. We know that even if the population or the sample is scattered throughout the country, that is if large amount of population is there and the sample size is also very big, then in a very and you have very less time to collect the data and your budget is also not there, that is your cost that you can spend on research is also not much, then probably questionnaire is the most suitable thing that you can go for. Many times the cost is also not involved. Once you design the questionnaire, you can email also, especially when you are doing a research on your employees who are always who are connected to internet, so you can very easily collect data from such kind of people. The third point says that it can be carried out by a researcher or by any number of people with limited effect to its validity and reliability. Why this happens is because in interview we might get an interviewer bias. Sometimes what may happen is questionnaires, like for example they are printed and you are posting it. Now once it is received by post by the respondent might take the answers and send it back to the researcher. So what happens in this case is a question that is asked by the researcher has been printed, so it cannot be changed in between, and hence whatever and in what sense the researcher wants to ask the respondent the question, in the same words, in the same sense, it is asked in the printed questionnaire and it is received by the respondent, and the respondent can answer it very easily, and hence its validity and reliability is not affected much. Other advantages include the results of questionnaires can usually be quickly and easily quantified by either a researcher or through the use of software packages. Now there are many software packages like SPSS, Minitab, Excel, that is data analyzer, the solver of Excel. These can be used to analyze the data collected from questionnaire, and for this you do not need people who are much expertise in statistics or anything like that. The results of questionnaire can usually be very quickly and easily quantified by the researcher or any person who he has given this work to. Nextly, it can be analyzed more scientifically and objectively than any other forms of research. See here, objectivity is one of the most important strengths and assets of any questionnaire. You have fixed set of responses in a questionnaire, and the question wordings are also fixed, so everyone gets the same question wordings, same options, and everyone answers them. And there are some limited options only that are given to the respondents, so out of these only they have to answer by ticking it, encircling it, or whatever it is. So that is why It is more scientific in nature, and the objectivity of a questionnaire is also more when compared to other techniques of data collection. And lastly, especially it is suitable when the number of respondents are large in and it is scattered. Suppose just like in the first point I had explained, that if your respondents are scattered throughout the country, you cannot go and reach every part of the country. It will take you years to study and collect data from these people. Also, the cost involved will increase, the time required will increase, and lot of other limitations will come into force. So that is why whenever the respondents are scattered and geographically scattered and it is very huge in number, so at that time probably questionnaires become your best bet where you can go for data collection. So these are some of the advantages that you can get from using questionnaires. So what are the disadvantages of using questionnaire? There are certain disadvantages, limitations, or demerits of using questionnaire. It is argued to be inadequate to understand some forms of information. See, generally, if your information or data that you are collecting is qualitative in nature, questionnaire becomes very difficult to capture all these things. Like, for example, changes in emotions. Now, changes in emotion, you can see if there is an interviewer, he can see the face of the respondent and note down if there are any change in emotions or the facial expression of the person. But these kind of things cannot be captured in a questionnaire. Similarly, behavior of a person cannot be captured. Feelings like sad, happiness, anger, love, affection, these kind of things cannot be captured in a questionnaire, or even if it can be captured, it is extremely difficult to capture it 100% correctly. Similarly, one more disadvantage we can say that there is no way to tell how truthful the respondent is being. So when you ask any question to a respondent, he will say, yes, I have done this, or no, I have not done this. Have you visited Delhi anytime? Yes, I have visited Delhi. But do you know actually that the respondent has actually visited Delhi or no? So we do not know. So we do not know how truthful he is being while answering a questionnaire. It is said that if it is an impersonal thing like a questionnaire, say questionnaire where is given to a person, here there are more chances that he might lie in a questionnaire. Whereas when an interviewer is sitting in front of him and he is asking him a question, there are chances that you might get more correct answers from the respondents. There is no way of telling how much thought a respondent has put in. See, we cannot tell how much thought or how much he has thought before answering a question. Here, maybe the respondent was in a hurry, he had some work, so very quickly he has said, very good, very good, very good, very good, yes, 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 very good, very good, very good, everything is very good. So these kind of responses you might get in a questionnaire if you're giving the questionnaire to people. So these kind of things may not be useful for the researcher if he wants the correct data. So that is why we cannot tell how much thought a respondent or the person has given before answering this question, whether he has thought enough to answer this and given after thinking he has given the answer. And lastly, the respondent may be forgetful or not thinking within the full context of the situation. Many times what may happen is when questionnaire is given, the respondent might have actually forgotten certain thing and he may not remember, and that is why he might have not thought and just guessed the answer and ticked it, because there is no interviewer to guide him at that time. So that is why the questionnaire, that is the question response that the respondent has given, may not be useful for research purpose. So these are some of the limitations or disadvantages of questionnaire. I hope you have understood this. With this we have ended today's video lecture. If there are any doubts for you, you can always contact us